Welcome to Midlife Schmidlife, the online community for listeners who want to redefine the middle years and recreate their lives lived to the fullest. Join our host, Liz Applegate, as she interviews guests over the age of 40 who are turning their maybe somedays into today and going after their dreams. Let's get the party started.
Hey, Schmidlifers. Welcome to the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. I'm Liz Applegate, your midlife strategist, helping you to redefine the middle years to live a life filled with passion and purpose. I am so excited to be starting the Midlife Toolbox Series today. I will be having conversations with experts around topics of health, self-care, career and business, style, and relationships. I have some wonderful interviews already set up, already ready to go, and I cannot wait to share them with you. Before I introduce you to today's guest, though, I want to invite you to visit the Courage in Action Telesummit that started this week. I'm joining 10 other courageous living coaches, and we have a lineup of conversations through September 22nd. We are interviewing one another, as well as 9 special guests on making more courageous choices in your life. You can find more over at courageinactiontelesummit.com. Now, one of the coaches from the Telesummit, as well as a friend of mine, is Paula Jenkins, and I'm so excited to be introducing her to you as this week's Midlife Schmidlife podcast guest. I cannot think of a better topic or person to help kick off the Toolbox series other than talking with her and talking about living with more joy. You'll be able to find all the links mentioned on the show over at the show notes at midlifeschmidlife.com/joy. So now let's head on over to the interview. Paula is a joyful living coach and a podcaster over at Jumpstart Your Joy. She's also, I have to point this out, Paula, that she is the catalyst for me starting the Midlife Schmidlife podcast because she has a wonderful course called Jumpstart Your Podcast. If you are ever interested, you need to go and check that out. And Paula, I just have to add one more thing too. So, of course, she is a joyful living coach, and I just want her to know I'm going to publicly declare this, that she really is who I call my ray of sunshine. If I ever need someone just to brighten my day, then I just know that I need to talk to Paula. So, welcome to the show, Paula.
Thank you so much, Liz. That is a very kind introduction. I'm really excited.
No
to be
pressure.
here.
Paula is, I don't know, she has just captured this essence around living in joy, using joy as a guide. And she really feels that to jumpstart your joy, you need to rediscover your balance, find out and get to know your inner landscape. And from there, you can really make choices to have a joyful life. So Paula, talk more about that, because I'm sure as I'm explaining it, I actually have this look on my face. I'm going to be quite honest. Did I describe that correctly?
You totally did. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. So maybe some of the backstory on
Yes.
like how I got to this place where I figured out that joy was, we all come into the world knowing we want to be joyful. It's funny because even if you'd asked me as a child, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? My answer was happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that kind of was very, very telling of then this person that I've become. And I guess a lot of the journey was that my background is in advertising. And I'm now a recovering project manager is my joke. And as I went through life, met my now husband, and we had a son, and I had a really difficult birth with him, which left me kind of in this space where I was left kind of in a space where I had never been before, which was I knew there was something terribly wrong. I knew I wasn't myself. And probably that old familiar, I want to be happy thing kicked in. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I have a son. I want to be his mother. I want to be there for him and I want to be present for him. And so what do I do to get through this, whatever this is? And I said, I need help. So
Right.
I went out and found it, and I got therapy for it, and it turned out it was PTSD. So that was a lot to handle, having a brand new baby and having that. But it really, while this hadn't been something that I could really talk about much for quite some time. So if you're in that space, I get it. And, grace and kindness is the first step.
Yes.
And then listening to your heart. If you know you need help, go get it. But that was really what laid the groundwork for me around, I want more than what this current moment is offering me, which was, sadness and frustration and complete confusion and not feeling like myself. And it really made me get in touch with, so how do I get out of this? And then who do I want to be on the other side of it? And that's where joy really came out of it. And it's interesting to me that there's such a complete, almost polar opposite there of being, really in the trenches of feeling completely immersed in trauma, but then also knowing I really needed something else. And that this little boy, this baby deserved a mommy that could be happy and loving and in it with him.
Right.
So that was the stake in the ground, really, of when I decided to really make a change.
Yeah. And I know that you and I have shared our stories, and we do have somewhat similar stories in the birth of our sons. And I just want to give a big thank you, praise toward you for sharing that story, because I feel even at 50 years old and looking back when my oldest son was born, and it was such a traumatic experience, that there was very little space to share that.
Yeah.
And so I know that, you're not broadcasting this message everywhere, but just the fact that you are able to shine light on that, and be able to step through it and walk through it, and not only help yourself and be there for your family, but now also to help others. So I want to give thank you so much, and for stepping into that and sharing that.
Sure.
So,
thank you. You're right. And maybe just another moment there of kind of that space of, you go through the getting ready to have a child and they tell you, well, make plan B. But then what happens when you have blown through plan A, plan B, plan C, and there isn't any other plan? And that's where it gets. And I think there is kind of a shroud of silence around what do we talk about and what's happened with a birth that didn't go planned and that isn't the exact, well, not even exact, that isn't the happy ending that all of us envision.
Exactly.
It's almost like it's a strange code of silence around, well, don't tell anyone how bad it was, right?
Right.
Not that I need to go there today, but I'm just saying, if you're in that space and you've had a hard time, there is absolutely no shame, and just tell your story or share it with someone, and find someone you can trust. Well, that's key, but find someone you can trust and open up to them and share, because that's really, you do not need to be alone in it.
So true. So true. I really think no matter how long ago that was, I know for me, that was 24 years ago, right? So it's a little different than you, because I know that your son is much, much younger. But I feel that because of the therapy that I had to seek out, which it still was much later, I still had some residual effects from that. So I don't feel like it's ever too late to seek help with something that may have been a traumatic experience for you, and has left kind of a scar on your heart, and something that you could seek help for. Mm-hmm. So I encourage others to do that as well.
Totally agree. Yeah, as far as joy, in that time, like I said, I really realized that there was something more and that I wanted to be there. And so in my work over the last, my son is 6, and just so I can get it on the up and up, I'm 44. I fit into the demographic here. I was of advanced maternal age, as they were sure to remind me.
Oh, that's a horrible.
Yes.
That's a horrible phrase.
Advanced right here. Needs to be advanced in something, I tell you. Uh, but so I knew that I wanted something more, and where was I with that? So I've started to call joy kind of a wayfaring emotion. And this is really in looking back, I realized that it became this guidepost almost for me. Like I knew I wanted to get happy, and I knew I wanted to feel, the range of emotions that sit around happy, and so joy was my goal. I mean, I knew even at the outset that there was no way to like stay in the realm of joy all of the time. I mean, it's an extreme, right? It's an ebb and flow thing. And so when you're there, you know it and you can recognize it. So that was the other piece that early on I really started to make sure is like if I was feeling joy, I was kind of like marking it in my mind and soaking it in when it hit. Because I think the other thing about joy is even if you're aiming for it all the time, sometimes we don't stop to take a moment and realize in the present moment of being joyful that we are in fact joyful. Right? So I think when you feel that bubbling up and you know it's there, I don't know. If you can do a little mental like check-in with yourself of like, what are you doing and how does it feel and what just brought you here and what does the breeze on your face feel like and what is the smell in the air? Like those little bitty details are so juicy and great. Like there's just something so nice about soaking them up. So that became my guidepost was let's try and get to joy and see what happens.
So do you think it was the act of actually noticing those joyful moments?
I think that buoys you up. Yeah, I think that helps. Because when you're on the lookout for joy, you start to notice it, right? Like it's kind of anything that you start to decide you want to find in the world. Well, guess what? You will. So if you're really determined that everything's terrible, if you're in the ER zone right now, like, well, then guess what? You're going to see more of the horrible, terrible, no good day stuff.
Right.
And I think joy on the other side, though, is another thing that you can start to look for. And, maybe that's the point of a good gratitude, journal or whatever, but is starting to take stock in those little things, even if they're tiny. And I think that was really important for me early on in trying to find my way out of a hard situation was even the tiniest things could have a lot of joy in them, right? Like a baby smile has a lot of joy in it. Or just getting outside after, you've been inside with an infant for however long. You're like, oh, the breeze, that feels nice.
Right, right. I loved how you talked about the ebb and flow. And I feel that there is so much pressure these days to only recognize, the happy moments and the happiness. And then we work so hard almost to try to bury those not so good days. And I love how you talk about that, like there are going to be some days when you just don't have good days, right? Mm-hmm. What would you say to someone, in that? Because I feel like maybe there may be a lot of pressure to feel like, oh, I have to feel joyful all the time, or I should feel happiness all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few things there. One is allow your emotions to be what they are. I mean, I think the trap there is, and this because we've been through the same training, but really the trap is getting attached to the emotion and judging if it's good or bad. Because the emotion, when it comes up, is neither good nor bad. It just is. So if you're in the midst of sadness or anger or anxiety or any of those that feel a little bit harder and less comfortable, probably, and not to judge them, but maybe to get curious. Like, where did this come from? How did I get here? Why am I feeling anger, discomfort, whatever, anxiety, sadness? Mm-hmm. And then, really, while it's still uncomfortable, let yourself feel it. And don't judge if it's good or bad, because the emotions are there and they're meant to be felt. And, I've really found by pushing them down, if that's what the inclination is to do, is then you're not really feeling anything. I know even in a recent episode, somebody was talking, I think Brene Brown has done some amazing work around the really feel all of your emotions, because then joy becomes more joyful. And, and then the pain might be more painful, but the fact of the matter is that you get to feel the extreme of joy Whereas if you're just pushing things down, you're not really feeling anything.
I know from my own experience, there have been some difficult times, and out of just trying to go through the motions and put one foot in front of the other, as I'm kind of, stuffing down these emotions of feeling lost or hurt, it really does shut down everything. It's almost like you're trying to keep something bottled up so tightly that you don't allow anything to come in.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I think sharing with other people, like if you're upset, I mean, even in my work as a project manager, like for a while I was trying to maintain this, like everything's good, everything's fine, it's all on schedule, it's all going to work. But then I realized what happened was when I was really honest with the team and really showed like I'm excited about this, then they were more excited. If I let them know like, hey guys, we're really behind and this has got me worried, well then they usually would jump to it and get working on it, right? Like
Right.
But by pretending that it was all even keel, it was, well, then that's all I got back as well. So I think there's something also about you kind of lead by example, even without knowing. If you start to, I guess, even without intending to, if you start to really feel all the way through your emotions, the people around you will also get the subtle clue that, you know what, it's all right. It's okay to have an emotion. You're a human.
Right. And that's such good advice with any type of relationship when you think about it, with your spouse, with your friends, with your siblings, parents, children even. What would you say, Paula, is a big misconception about being joyful?
Ooh, this is a good one. Let's see. I think a lot of people think that it's a really naive choice, right? Like there's something Pollyanna-ish about following joy. Yeah, so there's something about it that feels very Pollyanna-ish and kind of naive, and people would dismiss it, that like somehow, you're silly or childish or whatever to want to go for joy or to be joyful. I think another misconception would be that if you are joyful and outwardly kind of exuberant around people, that maybe you're too much, right? Like I think women especially get labeled or think they're being labeled as they're too something, too happy, too serious, too whatever. And then we start judging ourselves. So on both those fronts, what would I say? I think I'd say something like, well, it's not naive. I mean, even in what we just talked about, joy can often be the hardest choice. Like it's not the naive way. It's not the simple thing. To really, in a hard time, decide, you know what, I'm going to try and see something good here. I'm going to try and treat the other people around me with kindness so they feel a little bit, they feel a little bit of joy in their own heart. Like, even when it's really hard, I think you can still choose joy and decide to make a difference, even if it's just with one other person. And the too much thing, it gets into my 5 rules of self-guidance, which is, I don't think that it's kind of like it's your choice and it's your life and you get to choose how you want to live it. So if you're letting the possible decision of somebody else saying you're too something, you're too much, you're too joyful, well, then they're stealing your joy. So
Right. So true. So true. Those are what I call light stealers, right?
Yes.
It's someone who sees the goodness in you or your light, and they either want it for themselves and don't know how to get it, or they feel they can never have it, so they're just going to steal everyone else's. So that's kind of a...
Yeah, I think it's oftentimes that people don't know what to do. They've either been told that it's wrong to be too happy or whatever, or they're afraid to feel all their own emotions. And so if they see somebody else feeling exuberantly happy, that seems like a threat.
Yes.
What happens?
And how crazy is that, right? I mean, when you think about that. But you know something? I'm going to be outright honest right now. There have been times in my life when I know that I have met somebody and instantly thought, oh, I can't like them. They're just too damn happy.
Yeah.
How silly is that?
Well, I mean, I've surely done it myself. I mean, I don't know if somebody in the moment decides that they can't like me because I'm too happy. That's all right. Like,
That's on them.
yeah,
Honestly, that's on them. And that spoke more about where I was in my life than the other person, than the happy person. That spoke more to me.
yeah. Well, and I mean, obviously, in some ways, it's also, I mean, if I'm a joyful person, it's also about knowing the appropriateness of a certain place and time. Like, I mean, I'm bubbly right now. If you got me in another situation, like I'll be at my son's school later, I'm not going to be this outgoing, right? Like, I'll tone it down. So. But I think it's also knowing the appropriateness of a time and place.
Yeah.
If you're the joyful one.
But still, don't dim your joy for other people.
No.
So you mentioned the 5 rules of self-guidance.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you like to go into more of that?
Sure, I would love to. And this comes out of, I mean, this goes into the inner landscape piece that you kind of talked about at the top, which is like, I found that part of my journey was getting to know the person inside and what my real wants, needs, values, purpose is, and getting comfortable with what that really was. And there were some things, some really simple ideas that came up along the way. And that's kind of what these 5 deal with. And Liz, I know you will recognize some of them because our path has been so similar and aligned recently. Mm-hmm. And
yes.
So the first one I kind of nodded at, but it's your life and you get to choose what you do. To kind of add some commentary around that, I think a lot of us, I mean, we carry around shoulds, or we carry around obligations, or we have this entirely huge bucket list that I'm candidly not a fan of things that we think we should do in this life. And I only don't like bucket lists because I feel like it's oftentimes held out there as something that we are not accomplishing. And so it doesn't inspire us, but it makes us feel bad about what we haven't done. So if that's you, it's time to let it go.
Right.
Cue up the Queen Elsa, and let it go. But so if you look at it as it's your own life and you get to choose what you do, I'm not saying that, again, this all comes from a heart-centered space. So I'm not saying this in like a capitalistic, imperialistic kind of standpoint. I'm just giving people permission. I'm saying this is your life. If your parents wanted you to be a psychologist and you didn't have any interest in it, you can let it go. Live your own dream and not somebody else's. Ready for number 2?
I am ready for number 2.
It's accept your own. 2 is accept your current reality. And this kind of goes into like Byron Katie, because it's kind of that idea of we touched upon this too, but lots of times when there's something that is really hard in our life, we make it harder by fighting it, right?
Yes.
And so we put what Byron Katie would call painful thoughts around something that is already difficult. And in essence, we're fighting what the reality of the situation is. So, I mean, simple ideas would be like if you have a boss you don't like, or, you could be really upset about having to go into your work every day, or you could accept, okay, this might be a difficult situation. And in accepting it, it also says, you know what, there's something you could do about it, which is go find another job if that's an option, or, whatever. But there's an action once you've accepted it. If you're just fighting the reality, well, that's where all of your energy is going. And it's trapping you in this space where you're kind of in a multiplier of unhappiness.
Right.
Number 3 came from, I used to work at a retreat center, and I was totally dreading telling this lady that I couldn't do something because I felt like I was letting everyone down. And this is kind of that people pleaser side of me that I know about. And so it's a no is as blessed as a yes. Yes. I love it.
I love that.
Because I was like, you're right. And she was like, it's just what you want. You were brought here to do, you were brought here with a purpose. You saying no is not a reflection of you or me. It's just a reflection of your path and your purpose. So be honest with your word, be true with your word, and just speak what you want. And again, it was just like this beautiful permission somebody had given me to say no. And I was like, okay, I'm going to say no.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I got to do an exhale on that one.
I know. That one ties us up a lot, right?
Yes, definitely. Wow. Yeah, that one's good.
4, practice kindness and love towards yourself. Kindness is a good starting point if you're not ready to fully jump into the love bit. But yeah, just be gentle. There's no reason to make these things harder than they need to be. And I would add others, be this way with others as well. Like if we could all just be a little more kind to each other and ourselves, I think a lot of things become more possible. Here's a good one for, I think, all the midlifers.
Number 5.
Yeah, self-care is a deep and loving act of self-respect.
Yes.
It is not being lazy.
Right. Or selfish.
Right, exactly. Right? And that's my last one of like.
So self-care is a deep
and loving act of self-respect.
Yes.
And I think, there's always the analogies of, putting the mask on the child in the plane before yourself, but, no, edit. putting the mask on yourself before the child in the plane. But,
right.
It really, it's hard. I get it, but it's really been one of those things where when I became okay with like just acting kind towards myself and letting myself, eat when I needed to, sleep, that's a problem, but sleep when I need to. But like just really treating myself as, a beautiful part of the creation. There's nothing selfish about that.
Right.
There's really not.
There's not, and I'm not sure where the messages get mixed up. I've spent a lot of years trying to figure that one out. Like, at what point does it become that we have to, especially as moms, be all self-sacrificing to feel like we are where we should be in this world? And I don't have the answer for that.
Yeah, I think it does come up big for moms, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I probably did it before I was a mom as well, where I was like, really kind of pouring myself out to the point that it was honestly sometimes just, I'll say painful, but because like I would leave nothing left for myself. And sure, that's beautiful and loving towards the other person, but it's not really honoring the kindness that you should reflect back to yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you're not pouring back in. So at some point you have nothing else to pour out.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. Well, and there's a really, not that we'd have time to flesh this one out at all, but there's a really great book called Overwhelmed: How to Work, Play, and Love When Nobody Has the Time. And it's by Bridget Schulte. It's just really awesome book about kind of the same thing of like how, especially as women, do we allow ourselves in the United States? So that's the lens. But how do we allow ourselves to be in this space? And again, this is accepting your current reality, right? Like if this is not working for you, my encouragement would be go to your partner, your spouse, and say, hey, honey, how can we make this more even? Right?
Right.
How can we design this so that it works for our family? If things don't.
And that goes back to what we were talking about before with relationship, about how, it's so good to model that in any relationship that you are in.
Totally agree. Yeah. Yeah. And the end result here is hopefully, or that I have found, is that you experience joy more often when you're kind of able to kind of self-guide and work through whatever's coming up in your day. Like if there's pieces that are coming up, are you accepting your current reality? Or are you fighting it? Is it something you should have said no to? Are you just being kind? Could kindness solve this problem?
Right. Yeah. 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 To yourself or to others. So true. Right. So do you feel that these 5 rules, is this something that over time becomes second nature, or are there times when you find yourself needing to kind of remember to do your 5 rules of self-guidance, Paula?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, I think they all kind of came like one at a time for me in different times and different spaces. So, I mean, since right now I've shown them to people all at once, I would say, yeah, it's something that would be, you kind of live them if you wrote them down or whatever and look at them, and kind of reflect on them as something is coming up. I think that's kind of more the key. Yeah, there's no way that I can think of that we catch ourselves in absolutely every moment and are able to be like, oh yeah, am I, I could just say no here. That'd be as good as a yes. Or, am I really being kind? Like, that's a master level of awareness that I surely haven't gotten to yet. But I think if I'm having trouble with something and I remind myself, okay, have I done some of these things? Would one of these things help a little? Then I think it's just an incremental build towards something that's a larger whole.
Where can the Midlife Schmidlife listeners find you online?
I am at jumpstartyourjoy.com.
Awesome. So easy and so happy. So, I mean, it's just, it's just so happy to type that in.
Yeah.
So I know that you have a new course that you just released. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, I would love to. I'm so excited about this. It's called Roots and Wings, and it is co-led. So I lead it with my dear friend now. We actually met on the podcast.
Right,
it's so
right.
funny. It's amazing how these things can introduce you to people. But so Christy, she goes by Christy Tending online, but Christy Tenery Spalding. And she and I have created this class that is really about finding balance in your life, kind of in a brand new way. It's not, what we've done is turn it on its head, and we start with your inner landscape, kind of get you in tune with purpose and values. And what she brings to the class is like this really amazing background of yoga and breathing and meditation. And so while we're walking through, like, what are your, doing some of the exercises of the coaching side, she's also teaching you breathing exercises. And it's just good stuff.
Yeah, she's great. I'm really excited about this for both of you.
Yeah. Thank you. So it's 6 modules. There's like 20 audio recordings that we've done and a workbook, and we're going to do 3 coaching calls. So it's going to be really special. So we'd love to have people join. Yeah. And if any of you midlifers would like to join, I'd love to offer you guys $10 off. The code will be midlife, and I'll get the link.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, and I will definitely have all of these links in the show notes. I'll have the link to your website, to this course, with the coupon code. Thank you so much for doing that as well. And for the listeners, also over to the podcast, be sure, and if you are listening to Midlife Schmidlife, you need to add Jumpstart Your Joy to your playlist. It is a great weekly show. And actually, I think you're starting to do more than weekly, maybe, or are you?
I am. I'm
still playing around with that one.
No, I am starting what I'm calling Joy-Filled Fridays, and that will be it starts in October. I needed to get a little space to get those under my belt, but yeah, they're coming.
Ah, so fun, so fun. So again, I will have all those links over on the show notes. Paula, thank you so much for joining me, being the very kickoff to the Toolbox series. There is not a better way that I felt to kick this series off than to talk about living in joy, and just having you come and share your experiences with us, and as well as ways that we can make more joyful decisions for our life. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Liz. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much, Paula, for coming on and sharing ways we can not only live with more joy, but also choosing joy as a beacon. I want to point out that the book that Paula mentioned is called Overwhelmed: Work, Love, and Play When No One Has Time, and it's by Bridget Schulte. And thanks to Audible, you can download a free copy by heading over to midlifeschmidlife.com/book to try a trial version of Audible and get the download as well. Once again, that's midlifeschmidlife.com/book to go get your free download today. Now, to find all the links to connect with Paula, to find her podcast, as well as more information on her Roots and Wings course, head over to the show notes, midlifeschmidlife.com/joy. I want to leave you with a quote that inspires Paula, and it's by Henry Nouwen, and it reads, "Joy does not simply happen to us. We have to choose joy and keep choosing it every day." So, Schmidlifers, I invite you to look for ways this coming week that you too can choose joy.
Thanks for joining Liz for the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. Remember, some days are never on your calendar until you put them there. Until next time.